I'm sorry. Quiet.
I believe for 20 years. Reagan was a turning point for us. Didn't realize at the time it was. And
anytime I shoot.
Turning point for us.
Oh, really?
So many liberal Democrats and they're trying to change things around.
Morning.
It was all live?
Oh, is that right?
No,
Most of no. It's probably as accurate as we know. Yeah.
We had already been questioned 3 separate times by the Bohemian Club security, Secret Service, and Sonoma County Sheriff's Department. To evade discovery, we decided to try for one of the more remote areas of the camp, according to our map, the most southerly side, and a lookout point, an observation deck over the Russian River. While Mike Hansen was watching for the sheriff's deputies that were down the path and over the bridge in a guard shack, I began to shoot the video you just witnessed. After we turned the camera off, one of the Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies showed up and began asking us why we were filming. We calmly told him we were just sightseeing as members of the Bohemian Club. The point that has to be made here, though, is they do have hidden cameras, because there's no way that they would have been able to witness us videotaping from where the guard shack was located. And then upon walking back by the guard shack, we actually witnessed banks of television screens and wires leading up into the redwoods and disappearing. Also visible from the observation deck is the famous sunning area for the establishment lackeys and their pomps. Here you can see some of the fine carpeting out on the floaty. The long history of men enjoying themselves has even been written about in the gossip column of the San Francisco Chronicle, writing that a man on his own often gets invited back to the camp by gay bohemians. Even 100-year-old annals have admitted the homosexual activities. After escaping the sheriff's department, Mike and I traveled high into the hills to wait until dark and the beginning of the cremation of care ceremony. Before the cremation of care, all the Bohemian Club members begin a massive feast of revelry.
He's so pissed off at me. When you're walking away with somebody in the house, when you're walking away with somebody in the house,
after the feast, cult members travel from the main dining area under the trees out to the eastern side of the lake, where they congregate and prepare themselves to properly thank their deity. Again, the 3,000-plus-year-old Moloch. The occult activities are coming up. And then after the actual ritual, we're going to give you some more of the history surrounding it. But first off, I wanted to draw your attention to the program that was given out to the spectators or the viewers. I guess an occultist would call them novices, who actually watched as the priest and their supporters engaged in this ancient rite. Now, you're looking at a little demon called PJ that was on the front of the actual program. It's kind of an Hieronymus Bosch style. He's got a little broom and a dustpan, and he's sweeping something up. Now, even more shocking is the figure of a human body burning in the flames. In fact, I've shown it to people that are experts in anatomy, to actual doctors, and they say that the anatomical size is that of a baby or small child. Notice how large the cranium is in comparison to the torso, that is the ribs. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is from the program itself. given out to the establishment lackeys witnessing these sinister activities. Remember, in Babylon and Tyre, they would throw their children into fiery pits. Look at the size of the hands compared to the rest of the body. Only children show these anatomical details. Now, of course, it's been airbrushed in, but it shows the psychology. Now, this is the only skull we actually caught on tape. We've blown it up for you over one of the major meeting houses. Of course, it's not a real skull. It was extremely oversized up on the signage. The point we're trying to make here is the entire compound was literally infested with symbols of death, skulls, owls. At long last, here it is, the cremation of care unveiled.
Let me get your coat. See it. You're going to keep it covered up.
As we sat there in the darkness, not knowing what we were about to see in the gathering crowd, suddenly, across the small lake, we saw a carriage with men in black and brown cloaks, robes, in front and in back, bearing a bound body. Remember, it was a hidden camera and at somewhat of an angle. Something particularly pleasing was happening for the Bohemian Grovers with whatever developed with that crowd of men in black and brown and the bound body on the back of the buggy. They drove behind big black tarps they had hanging out of the trees. There was lots of smacking on lips of in bizarre enjoyment by the crowd. We still haven't made out exactly what was going on, but that a real sacrifice may have actually been developing according to some occult experts. All the time in the darkness across the small lake, the men in black were doing something behind the dark curtains hanging from the redwood trees. Then after about 10 more minutes of music, suddenly all around the owl activity began. Here is the main central part of the ritual.